Good evening, Free Enterprise, and welcome to the semifinals of the Adamant Cup. This is the first match between Ryban and Dustygriff. I'm Bad Karma. I'm joined in the booth by Moonblaze Wolf. We've got Harumph doing the restreaming, J-Mac, the librarian, doing the tracking, and Moonblaze, we both have a little history with these runners, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. So I faced off against Rhybon in the last round in the quarterfinals, was soundly thumped, and I know Dustygriff and you played earlier in the tournament.
Equally thumped. Got swept by the Dustygriff and wasn't even close.
Yeah, but I think for both of these runners, Dusty is a little more battle tested based on his last round against Pankraz, and I think Rhybon. I'm gonna sort of take myself down a notch and just say Dusty is by far the best player that Rhybon has had to face so far in the brackets, and I think this is going to be an incredible series.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to it, and this entire event has been great, showing what our runners can do. And we have two excellent runs. Ryban went 5-0 in the group stages. I don't believe has lost in the bracket stages. Dustygriff has lost the one here or there, but is here for a reason. Dustygriff is a fantastic runner, if not one of the best free enterprise runners. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, and we've got some pretty interesting objectives here. We've got Complete Cave Bahamut, which is our only moon objective. We've got a lot of different stuff on the Earth, including both Cave Magnus and the Tower of Zot, so two of the traditionally slower checks our runners are going to have to do. And then just for fun, we've got Complete the Giant of Babel in there. So it's going to be really interesting to see how things fall and how our runners decide to route this seed tonight.
Yeah, with hats everywhere to be seen, it'll be really interesting to see who's on that giant that could possibly stonewall. I know personally, I hope that the runners are going to go full mage party and run into CPU at the elements. I'm calling it here and now.
I'm just looking forward to seeing what hat the Giant of Hat-Till is wearing tonight. So shout outs to our restreamer, Harumph, who rolled this seed. This looks good. Also, in true Harumph fashion, giving us a required Cave Magnes. One way or another, as I found out in my first quarterfinal with Rhybon, where Harumph rolled a seed that had 5 objectives all locked behind Cave Magnus. But anyway, I'm not bitter.
Do you think Ryban will be considering that, even though it is an objective here tonight, possibly he sees that harp and immediately goes for it?
I think a lot of this will depend on how the early part of the seed breaks. The thing I am most interested in looking forward to is where our runners decide to route in the Giant of Babel check, an objective. I think in the group stage, it was pretty much accepted that you do the Giant at the end, but you potentially might have to go there to grind in these flags, and we'll see how early and how brave our runners are feeling in that regard. But we're underway, and we have got a Yang and a Rydia to kick things off.
And a hook. So a character right off the bat, a lot of loot available to our runners. This is not a lot of power early on, though, so it'd be really interesting to see where our runners decide to do any of this early looting, if they're going to be looking in the Cave Eblin for some check, and maybe try to raise enough money if Leviathan is for sale.
Yeah, I was going to comment on that, and you hit the nail on the head. Having access to that early Cave Eblin shop can definitely give you a good summon for that Rydia early on. And Yang is, I will admit, as a previous Yang hater, Yang is pretty good in the bracket stages, especially when you get him early. You can kind of scale him over the course of the seed, and he is very respectable. We see both of our runners here immediately headed towards Toroia Castle, likely to look and see if there might be a pink tail to go with that harp, or with that hook, excuse me.
Yeah, we've actually got Dustygriff over in Damsian loot in the basement. Wanting to get some of that early gear. Found a dancing there. Oh, just a Dwarf axe in the bedward.
Yeah, that is not what Rhybon wanted to see there, so we'll see what happens here. But yeah, you're right. Dusty going and looting out Damsian. I'm a fan of this play. I think with the T Pro settings, which is the treasure flag for this flag set that we're using currently. If you have an objective that's going to require you to get that hook, regardless of whether you actually start with the hook like we did tonight, it's probably a pretty good idea to loot out Dampian because you get all of those chests and you kind of have to go there anyway.
Absolutely, and just saw over on Rybon's side, found a Thunderclaw in the budget treasury. That's going to be really nice pickup, having that Yang hitting that lightning weakness on, especially if we run into an early Odin or even an early Leviathan as well. That would be some extra damage to put out for that Yang to make himself a little useful. There's curse rings as well.
Yeah, the curse string in the Toroia shop, I'm sure both of our runners are going to find that, so that's a little bit of an equalizer. Looks like Rhybon is also finding poison claws in the weapon shop. That'll be a nice boost for that Yang. And as chat also mentioned, there was an hourglass too in that public treasury, and that one item might give Rhybon a little bit of flexibility early on here. Looks like Dusty's going to go get it as well. But that one hourglass too gives you a lot of flexibility to maybe do something like a trap chest or a early boss or something like that.
Yeah, considering we have that hook in hand, we have our path. We have a path to the underground. Maybe we get an officer-soldier fight in the Fey March, even the Baron Guards of the Dark Imps down there, and that hourglass is going to make that fight, if you can survive the hits until it goes off, pretty free.
Yeah, and it looks like our runners are just kind of crisscrossing a little bit here. So, BK, I know you did a couple of those races against Dusty. I've been watching Dusty for a long time. What's your kind of take on Dusty's read on this format?
Dusty is having to adapt some of his gameplay. He took the one loss in the group stages against Commander Leonhardt, and due to fading out the Castle Eblin, which had an adamant armor, which it tended to do in the group stages. But we're seeing that Dusty's playstyle is really translating well to this T-Pro flag set. To just, he can do a lot of things with just not a lot of gear.
Yeah, I think that's a really good summary of Dusty's playstyle. And I will say for my part, as someone who played a couple matches against Rhybon, Rhybon to me was someone who was incredibly thorough and very thoughtful about what he was doing. I did get the impression from watching him play that he was very willing to kind of do anything that he knew he could do. And one of the things I'm going to be watching for in this match and kind of in this whole series is I think Dusty is a higher caliber player than he's had to play so far, kind of like I said early on. And I'm curious if he starts fading things that he might otherwise do just because he knows he can do them, even if they might take a little bit longer as far as a time investment goes.
We did find a Tella here at the top of Hobbs. Is this leg or is this elements? Elements it is.
It is elements, and this is going to be a little bit of an advantage for Rhybon, assuming he can pull this fight down, because as we can see here, Dustygriff is already in the Eblin hook route, doing a little bit of looting and shopping. He does not have a source of exit as far as I know, except maybe having one in his inventory that I haven't seen. So when Rhybon goes and does this, he is going to be able to exit out the back, and that will likely save a decent amount of time. Dusty randomly finding a curse string, by the way, which is not insignificant in terms of the money that saves for him now over the rest of the seed, I will just point out.
Yeah, and Dusty's going to be looking for a lot of loot here, I feel like, with that Leviathan summon being for sale in the Cave Eblin. That's going to be a big thing, and we already saw him look at his inventory once to see, and do I have enough? And he didn't yet, but I think he will soon.
Yeah, he'll almost certainly buy that before he leaves. Kind of does the early part of the hook route, and now is sort of running to the end to see who the character is. Ooh, it's an edge and a sparkle. So we've definitely got a pretty spicy set of available characters here early on. Also worth mentioning, Rhybon just got this as well. There was a Dragon Whip there, so maybe we don't necessarily need to go Leviathan Rydia. Maybe Rydia can hit things tonight.
I'm always for Rydia being able to hit things. She, with the right set of gear and that Dragon Whip, she can do a lot of work against, an early Pale Dim, early Wyvern if it comes to it. So that Dragon Whip could come in handy for these runners. They both know how to, make the most out of the gear that they're finding.
Yeah, and I think the other, looking at this from my perspective, if I was in one of these runners' shoes, the other thing that I would say is this party is basically one white mage short of almost a perfect party for this format. So especially for someone like Rhybon, Rhybon is definitely, his playstyle is to prefer Zerkers. I don't know if Dusty has a strong preference, but I know from talking to Rhybon and playing against Rhybon, he really prefers a Zerker party. So I would probably, if I was in these runners' shoes, be more inclined maybe just to lean on that Dragon Whip Rydia for a little bit until I can find a white mage to sort of take her place rather than invest in the Leviathan.
Well, there were Bacchus wines for sale, and an Asura summon was also for sale in Troya. We do have a white mage. Eh? Eh?
I mean, I guess Asura's half of a white mage and a crate of wine is the other half of a white mage, so sure, I'll go with you there.
Two halves make a whole.
That is true. I mean, that's kind of the two things that you need for this party to function. You need Curing Magic and you need Berserk, so you've already got your anchor situation squared away because you have a Tello with a Curse String already in your pocket, so I'm sure we could use some good edge weapons, but this party is coming together quite nicely for less than 10 minutes into the seed.
Yeah, and found a ninja hat, one of my favorite items to really find. Gonna slap that on edge probably and just zoom right through this overworld. With the anchoring the way it is, edge is gonna outspeed everything on this overworld and really make a lot of these fights just, trivial if we can find some weaponry for him to use. And even if not, Dusty's got that dancing dagger that he can just use as an item.
I'm really curious to see what Dusty and Rhybon, honestly, too. We bought the Leviathan. Rhybon is going to buy a stack of Bacchus wines. This is a kind of a little interesting divergence here, assuming that is the case.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. And also to note, too, Dusty didn't sell the Odin summon either to, get the money for. So looking to cash in on some of these boss fights that could be really, susceptible to that Odin death attack to just be able to take them out even quicker.
Yeah, I think the other thing that might be on Dusty's mind is something that just I recalled thinking about things. I'm pretty sure we saw Cure 3s for sale as well in Toroia. So worst case scenario, if you're comfortable with this party and you just want to have a Leviathan summoning Rydia or a Dragon Whip Rydia for the long haul, I get this investment from Dusty's perspective. You kind of know where all the parts are. If you're willing to invest the money, you can definitely make do with this party for pretty much the whole seed if you want to.
Oh, and chat pointing out, Ryban did not find the curse ring that I believe... Oh, never mind. Thanks, Ryban. Thank you.
Oh, did he find one elsewhere?
Right, first chest and antline.
Wow. That's a lot of curse strings in this seed.
I believe that's 2 that we've seen. And they're for sale in Troya.
Yeah, that's more curse strings than I usually see in a whole best of 3, so...
And Valvalis in a good spot. The runners are be happy to find her in. Don't want to run into her later, but perfectly fine to find her here. So we're going to see the shuriken put to use.
That is one dead Valvalis, and there's the twin harp.
Harumph does it again, ladies and gentle persons.
The funny thing about this is you could go do that harp right now with this party. Like, there is no reason to wait. So I'll be curious to see how quickly Rhybon does it. He's stopping in Fabul. I have to say, I could see fading Fabul pretty hard in this seed as well with the party that we've got, and I'll be curious if Dusty does something like that.
I wonder if this is more of a dual shop and key item check is the reason Ryban is stopping here. Got a silver dagger for this edge. Yeah, there we go.
There's a mute knife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you definitely want to find some edge equipment. That's a good call, but I think this is also just kind of Rhybon's style is to be very, very thorough, and yeah, we'll see. he's already a little bit ahead in the foot race just based on the fact that he found that tele first and was able to exit out of Eblin. So this is just kind of an interesting next couple minutes, I will say, with both of them having the Twin Harp. Both of them probably assuming that hook route is their way underground, but the question is, how much do you want to do between then and now, and when do you want to do some of those longer checks like the Twin Harp that you can probably do a little bit faster later on, but your party's definitely good enough to handle them right now.
Absolutely, and we're going to be seeing here who is attacking Fabul. Ryban did a bunch of shopping to get those mute knives. We'll see if this is going to be something that's going to make him regret. Nope, it is just Leviathan. Not going to
Leviathan meet Leviathan. Not quite yet. Maybe for Dusty.
Yeah, I don't think Ryban went back to the item shop. Did Ryban buy the Bacchus wines or Leviathan summon?
I don't believe so. I'm pretty sure he just exited out, but he'll be back there soon enough once he's got some more money to buy wine.
Yeah, and Rydia should have enough MP at this point to get one Leviathan cast off, so depending on if Dusty circles around to it or not.
Yeah, there's no reason not to, because you will get that HP or that MP back after this fight. Yep, there we go. Style points coming in here, assuming that Rydia survives long enough to get this cast off.
We're getting a lot of anti-mage gear. We just got a rune axe, we've got mute knives, and elven bow was just laying around.
I missed what the item was, but we'll see here in just a second from Dusty.
It was the rune axe.
Oh, that was where the rune axe came from. Got it. Yeah. Yes. You know what? That rune axe is a big chunk of money. Mm-hmm. Just gonna say that right now.
And it's also 2 key item checks here on the overworld that are not key items. So where did Harumph hide them all?
The seed has axes so far.
Axes and hats is what I saw. Everything behind Harp from Fried Potato.
Wouldn't be the first time.
And it won't be the last. Climbing Ordeals, though, wants to get that Tela powered up. Also, again, just wanting to probably get a little bit more XP for the party before maybe tackling the Harp. But also, 2 bonk checks already in the overworld. That's got to be weighing on Ryban a little bit.
That is very true. Dusty does, in fact, buy, I believe he got 1 mute knife for that edge, so that's a good start. And got a Dark Knight Cecil here. A little bit earlier on in Ordeals than we are typically accustomed to seeing him in the non-randomized version of the game.
Well, he has to say his piece at some point, and he wants to feel important, so he's going first this time. Dusty is right on Ryban's heels and skipping the loot. Oh, never mind. Not that it was worth anything, but just to note that Dusty is getting to a point where he feels comfortable with what he's already got. Which is going to really play into, how much time is saved if Dusty feels like he doesn't have to loot another chest in this.
Yeah, the problem I see with this seed is, from the runner's perspective, is you have found so much stuff in shops that you want to buy already. Like, where the Bacchus wine is. Dusty already bought that Leviathan summon. Already bought a mute knife for his edge. We know Cure 3s are out there. We know Ether 1s are out there. If our runners are going to do a D-Machine grind, those Ether 1s are absolutely going to come into play. So this is a tricky seed to figure out when to stop looting, because you've got the power level, but you're also going to need a ton of money to get through this seed. And on top of that, the S-Quarter flag is on, so all of those items are only going to be selling for a quarter of what they normally would sell for.
Yeah, and we've been seeing right now that each shopping trip our runners have taken, they've been able to raise about 40,000, and that's about it. And also to note with this Kanatsu here, Dusty's going to get through this fight a lot faster due to that Rydia with the Leviathan.
Yeah, that's kind of the trade-off I would say that Rhybon is making here by not investing in that Leviathan, and maybe will later, but I suspect Rhybon sees this Rydia as a temporary member of the party, and Dusty is clearly a little bit more comfortable investing some money and some resources into this Rydia.
Yeah, in the races that I had with Dusty, the seeds really pushed us towards mage parties, and you could tell watching him back how much more comfortable Dusty was with a mage party compared to myself running them. Not saying that I'm not comfortable, but Dusty was definitely another bunk check too.
Yeah, I mean, the way this early part of this seed is shaping up, it is very reasonable to suspect that if our runners find the Darkness Crystal on the overworld, we will see a D-Machine grind. If there was a Magma Key in play, and we found a shop that had Sirens in it, I think both of our runners would also be happy not doing a D-Machine grind. But you might have that opportunity early, plus that objective number 2 being complete the Giant of Babel. You know that for our runners in the back of their minds that the possibility of a D-Machine grind is looming large.
Absolutely. And again, with finding the gear that we're seeing, we're not finding a lot of cane gear. We've found mute knives for edge. So the gear that we are finding is really pointing to invest in a mage, invest in those levels with the yang as well. So it'll be really interesting to see how this, middle section of the seed goes once Baron in and possibly the harp check is done before we go to the hook route.
Yeah, absolutely. And another zonk here for our runners as well. At least you get Tella's spells out of the deal here on Ordeals, but you've got to think for both of our runners, they are definitely wondering where Harumph hid the key items in the seed.
There's 5 of them behind the harp.
We've seen more cursed rings than we've seen key items already. Come on, Harumph.
That is something. That is something to note. Where Ryban's probably going Baronet now again, and that's the other thing too. A lot of us, who've come up over the last couple of years, have been watching Dusty, been watching Invenerable, and the older generation of runners, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, seeing how these efficient early checks and just getting them done to really power you up for the later things. I wonder if that's playing into Ryban's mentality, or just, as you were saying, just being really thorough with, these overworld checks.
Yeah, this is extremely methodical so far, which I think is interesting, given what we know about these two runners and just how talented they are. So, yeah, both of our runners kind of done exactly what you would maybe expect if you sort of took the names out of the seed and just said, hey, you're going to get the hook right away, and then not a whole lot else.
Another boss where that Leviathan is really going to speed this up because, while Tella's going to have to cast a spell, he'll probably be able to take care of it with that Ice 3. It's still a lot of time to get it out.
I mean, that was timed perfectly by Rhybon.
Yeah,
that was really,
absolutely.
really well done.
Oh.
Well, our seed just kind of opened up in an entirely different way now.
Who does that with the investments the parties have made? Who do you feel like that adamant armor benefits more?
It's really hard to say at this point. Another thing that we haven't really touched on yet, that's kind of working for Rhybon's favor right now, is we've already seen Valvalis, and if you are, actually, I take that back. This plays more into Dusty's strategy right now. If you're thinking about including a mage in your party, Valvalis is a boss that you do not want to see late. So knowing that Valvalis is already out of the boss pool, I would say having a Rydia in your party long-term is less of a liability, but I have to think kind of just what we've seen so far, this seed is playing right into Rhybon's preferred strategy.
Yeah, and as we're seeing, Ryban immediately going to turn this in. No surprises there. The question will be, does Ryban go down the hook or does Ryban do the harp before the hook? I would think it's probably harp.
Yeah, I think we'll see harp here too, just because it's an objective. I'm also kind of curious now to see if either of our runners decides to do any of the trap chests in Castle Eblin. Especially assuming if you're going to slap this adamant armor on your edge, we haven't really seen a great edge weapon yet. So it's entirely reasonable to me to maybe see our runners go down to Eblin and maybe try to fish out a really good edge weapon.
Yeah, even just long blades somewhere would be preferable, and that's where we see Dusty heading to Silvara. Gonna see what these shops have in store for him as well while he's here turning in. Hey, there's Ether 2s.
Yeah, I think the D machine goes out the window a little bit now that we have the
Right,
admin
right.
though. It just trivializes so much stuff, and part of why you D machine is you want to get to that power level where you don't have to worry about too much, and an adamant armor basically does the same thing. Although we do see Dusty buy a big honkin' stack of Ether 2s, so I don't think he has quite divorced himself from the possibility of doing a D machine grind yet.
It makes me wonder if Dusty is thinking as soon as that darkness crystal shows up, if it shows up maybe here in the harp to D machine before having to take that lunar sparkle in the hook route.
It wouldn't surprise me. I think everything that we've seen so far, this seed is just going to continue to be a little bit predictable until we figure out if the Twin Harp throws us a little bit of a curveball, either the Magma Key or the Darkness Crystal, or, another required item like the Earth Crystal. That would be interesting to see. But assuming that our runners just do this and go down the hook route, I don't think we're going to see too much divergence here for a little bit.
Now, one thing I noted too, Ryban is still looting. I don't think with having that adamant armor in hand, Dusty is going to loot this Cave Magnus. Also, hats off to Ryban with the kamikaze kill on Rydia.
That is smart. Yeah, I think Rhybon's just stockpiling. He's building his wind fund at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, we're going to go ahead and be quiet for a second because we're going to have a couple instances of harp music for y'all. So enjoy. I think we're going to let y'all have an encore.
And River City Ransom being the tune we've heard back to back, and we get a pan for our efforts. So the hook route is the way to go. So that means we know that Wyvern is not that Lunar Sparkle that we have ahead of us. And as you predicted, Ryban has cashed in on his wine funds.
Yeah, he got a baker's dozen +1.
Yeah, I think Ryban is good for a little bit. I'm pretty sure he's going to be spending the rest of the seed with an angry ninja and an angry monk.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say. But yeah, we gotta figure out who's on this hook route now, because this is the required next step now for both of our runners. So Rhybon charging down there. I don't see any reason to think that either of them is going to have trouble with this. We've already got our anchor situation squared away. We've already got an adamant armored edge with some decent, not amazing weapons. So yeah, I think this is going to be it's going to be a sprint through the next part of the seed here.
Yeah, chat pointing out, could have used that hourglass we got earlier to spend a little time to steal the Bacchus wines from the Mad Ogres, but chose not to. Wanted to go with the quick and easy, just buy it and go.
Yeah, I think when you're facing an opponent of the caliber that our runners are facing tonight, I think they both know that you got to be pretty desperate to spend time stealing something. So I think they're going to be good for a while. Just clearing checks, especially again with that adamant armored edge, is going to be able to tear through almost anything that's going to be thrown at them. We've already seen another couple bosses that give adamant armor trouble. We've already seen Dark Knight Cecil. We've already seen Kanazo. So I just don't really see much that's going to get in the way of our runners. We've already seen Rubicant. Not that that would usually pose a problem, but yeah, there's just the seed is basically, it's going to come down to a lot of routing here. We should note we did get the pan out of Cave Magnus as well. So that means that we got another objective already in our back pocket for once we break through here, as Rhybon takes a look at the first boss.
Double Sparkle here in the hook route.
Yep, that is a pretty sparkly hook route here. Dusty is going to go ahead and take this Mad Ogre chest. We'll see if that gives him something that is going to be an advantage, because these D-Lunars are not going to be a problem for Rhybon.
No, not with not with Adamant Armor Edge with Mute Knives. That flame is doing a nice work.
Oh yeah.
Looks like Dusty just wanted some more levels just to speed this up. This is going to be one little divergence. We'll see, depending on who this boss is, if that's going to really help Dusty out or not.
So this is an interesting boss. I would actually say a couple extra levels might help, although Rhybon has 2 Mute Knives, which is a little bit stronger, so that might kind of level the playing field a little bit. But Pale Dim, you pretty much just have to punch to death with this party, so...
What will be interesting to see if maybe we get like a float, cast to be able to get some more damage from that radio.
Unfortunately, Rydia did not get any more levels, and she is probably the one character that would have benefited the most from a little bit more, especially if you're going to use that Dragon Whip on this Pale Dim. So that did not work out, unfortunately, for Dusty, but I think this is not going to be immediately apparent who gets through this fight faster. I think it's going to be pretty similar for both of them.
So both of our runners probably going to get through this not really with an issue here. But my question is, do you immediately dive that pan and knock that out as soon as you hit the underground, or do you kind of route it in a little to maybe do Fey March and check that out, before doing it, just to see what that key item is?
I think if it was me, I would go do the pan right away. I would be looking to single dip the Fey March, because you shouldn't need too much in order to clear it with the Adamant armored character already. So I would want to probably avoid it for a little bit, maybe get some more checks under my belt, maybe get up to 10 key items, and then consider going and doing the Fey March all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I would like to do the same. I know that I don't usually pull it off, that free key item, and sometimes depending on what my gear situation is, I do like to loot on the way down to the Fey March myself. But I am a loot goblin who can't seem to loot less than 100 chests of seeds. So
my guess would be Rhybon was saving up for all of those Bacchus wines, and we probably don't see much more looting out of him for the rest of the seed. It's hard to say what Dusty feels he needs at this point. Our runners probably want to get a couple sirens too, depending on what the seed throws at them. But you shouldn't need too many. I think with that pan in hand, you're gonna ideally find yourself at 10 key items sooner rather than later. And hopefully that pan will break the logjam with Harumph really being a little bit of a little stingy with them so far.
To be fair, if the pan is holding all of the key items, then Harumph once again put a whole bunch of key items behind the heart.
Oh yeah, I mean that wouldn't surprise me at all. I would have guessed that in advance. But Rhybon is through at about 33 minutes on the nose, so we'll get a pretty good sense here once Dusty finishes this fight how far behind he is. But it looks like Rhybon probably has at least a 2-minute or so lead at this point getting to the underground.
Yeah, and for Dustygriff to really make up that 2 minutes, it's going to come down to the routing, as you were saying. And there's a free fight at the top of Tower of Babel.
Yeah, I might be tempted to actually go do that right away. But yeah, I mean, if you want to be focused, I think pan is the play. But that would be an interesting divergence if one of our runners decided to go do that fight right away.
It would be really tempting. I personally am not a fan of the keyless tower. It's just my style, but I would be tempted to go and just immediately land this Falcon and run up there. Get the good airship back too. Oh, wait,
yeah, I think it just depends on how both of our runners are feeling right now. I think this is one of those seeds that it's been extremely linear to this point. And the power level's been really high, so I'm sure both of our runners feel like the other person is doing more or less the same stuff that they've been doing. Obviously, they haven't run into too much trouble themselves, but it'll be curious to see if either of our runners takes maybe a something that we would call a gamble from here in the commentary booth, or if they kind of just making the most obvious play, like Rhybon right here going and doing the pan right away, kind of like we were saying is the most obvious play, but there is the temptation to go do that free top of tower. I have to agree with you.
Yeah, Groundflyer making a really good point too, and that we have 4 free checks just sitting out there right now with the pan in hand, and you're going to want to hope to pull a key item as we get another non-key item from a K summon spot there, a samurai bow for the pan turn-in.
Rhybon definitely going for freebies and information here, so I'm curious to see what is in the boss spots in the Fey March, and if Rhybon is tempted to fight either of them, because this is a little bit of a problem when you're a runner like Rhybon, I think, sometimes. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. And, right. I mean, this will be an interesting opportunity if Rhybon decides to take one of these fights at low level and slog through it, depending on what it is. I mean, we obviously haven't seen yet, but it could be an opportunity for Dusty to maybe make up a little bit of time here. And
a casual vanilla rat tail, though. Oh,
it's another objective. So,
if there's an officer or dark imps or something here, and coffins are just casually for sale in the Fey March.
You know, Harumph, I have to say at this point, you're making it a little bit too easy on these two. Come on now. Let's see something. Let's see something that makes us gets us on the edge of our seats here a little bit.
Hey.
No, that's the opposite of that.
Yeah. That sparkle though we've seen too, so that is actually probably a very rude fight for right now. If it's Plague, it's still pretty free, but
I know what I want to see.
I know what I want to see there too.
Let's see a Blarg.
Adamant Edge outspeeding these guards. Not going to get the life up, so not that Ryban is really mattering about that Rydia.
Oh boy.
Oh, wow.
That is huge for Rhybon finding the Darkness Crystal, so...
2 more objectives available to Ryban now. Gonna have, probably objectives 3 and 5 done here soon. How long is that Darkness Crystal gonna burn in his pocket?
I think that is going to depend on what we find, what Sheila gives us, if Sheila has even more goods, because our runners are going to be able to pretty much do whatever they want at this point. There's sirens for sale as well, so another piece of the puzzle there for runners who are looking to kind of get through things quickly here. Yeah, this is a pretty interesting moment. Rhybon's definitely going to invest in some sirens here, going to put some levels on the party. Gotta think he still wants to find an actual white mage at some point here, though, too. So we'll see what the next move is after the pan. Dusty, not surprisingly, another veteran runner. Looks like he's going to run down the Fey March here, too, as well. Did Rhybon check the Sparkle or not?
Did not check the Sparkle. Did check the Drop Dwarf, but did not check the Sparkle. Immediately exited as soon as he saw the Darkness Crystal.
Okay. I guess I'm not concerned about that, but there is a free boss at that spot, and it's Plague. If Dusty figures out that that's Plague and that also has value, that would actually be a pretty big problem for Rhybon at this point.
Yeah, and is that a gamble that you really want to take, knowing, you're in the final 4, and yeah, you want to be thorough, and if it is Plague, that's still going to be a decently long fight. Our Edge doesn't have a boomerang or anything to do that extra flying damage. I think Dusty's is rocking 1 mute knife and a dancing dagger or silver knife.
Yeah, it's hard to say, and these runners are here for a reason. So, you certainly assume that they are making what they feel is like a really, really good decision in the moment. I just would love to have the information if it was me personally, because when you leave the Fey March with that boss there, you are not planning to come back for a very long time.
Agreed, and I would definitely at least want to know what it is. Just the fact that, that can determine, do I gamble on the moon? Hey, there's some more vanilla. Do I gamble on the moon knowing that the Wyvern is there at the Asura spot?
Yeah. I mean, it can definitely, even if you find out that it's something that you can't handle, that like that Wyvern isn't somewhere else later on. And I just think that that's, for me anyway, that would be really good information to have. I think Rhybon is laser focused right now on figuring out who is going to be in his final party, because I don't think he wants that Rydia to be there. Dwarf Castle is a very slow check, but it does have a character at the end, and we have not seen a white mage yet.
Yeah, and I would also, me personally, I would probably be coming to Dwarf just with the number of key item spots that haven't given us any key items. They've got to start paying out at some point, and with each of these bonk checks, it's got to hit it, for our runners.
Yeah, the issue, though, as pointed out in chat, is just that this is a very slow check, and if you don't get a white mage, which Rhybon just found a white mage, there you go, immediately slotted into Rydia's spot. But he's doing this before he does his grind, which makes a lot of sense. If you're Rhybon and you just want to find that white mage so you can say, yep, this is my final party, I am good to go now. So I think this is definitely going to be Rhybon's final 4 here, and gonna have no problems finishing off this Karate man as well.
Yep, not at all. And he goes down. Dusty is getting the Darkness Crystal. Will he check the Sparkle? Yeah, he's going to save. He's going to check that Sparkle. I think if it's Plague, he takes it.
Yeah, absolutely. I could definitely see him trying to do a Wyvern here as well. There is some cheeky stuff that you can do with Rydia if you can get her fast enough. That would also make that fight probably pretty doable with the right anchoring. So I think the only thing that Dusty would have to be worried about here it would be Ogopogo.
There's the Wyvern.
There's the Blarg. All right. And are we going to see an exit, or are we going to see Dusty?
Yeah.
There's the exit. Okay.
I saw him go into the items and maybe be looking for... Nope. And I missed, was Dwarf Castle a key item?
Dwarf was a required Earth Crystal.
Aha!
That is huge for Rhybon also. Because Dwarf, we just talked about it. It's not a check that you necessarily want to do early on, but Rhybon has done it. It has paid off, and Rhybon is 1 key item from Go mode right now. Yeah,
and Dusty, with the Darkness Crystal in hand, if he's thinking, get as many key items as he's got, I'm going to probably go turn in this pan, turn in the Rat Tail, and just see, what's available and out there to try and get up to that 10 key item, I think, to just get this party up and going. Hey, there's... Wow.
Oh, my goodness. So Rhybon has somehow managed to do exactly the correct things to get himself to Go mode. So this is a sprint from here on out for Rhybon through these last couple checks and to get a grind. So,
and that, I think that hurts Dusty, just because Dusty's gonna go do Luca when he feels comfortable doing it. He's probably gonna do Keyless Tower, knowing that's some free XP up there and it's a check. Or does he go to the moon and...
Well, the one thing I will say about Dusty tends to be very thorough and full clear the earth in my experience. So I don't think Dusty, especially also probably hoping for Harumph. The pass,
wow.
Really Harumph?
Harumph just doesn't want to see the moon today.
Yeah, so I guess that's one less thing that we have to worry about here. So, boy, we are at 9 key items now for Rhybon. Still got a couple very doable checks. Got 3 objectives down. Everything else in front of him. My thought was that I was just trying to finish, though. Dusty does like to full clear the earth. Dusty still would like to have a white mage if I was to guess. So I wouldn't be shocked if Dusty also did Dwarf Castle fairly soon. But even with that, Rhybon is pretty clearly in the lead here by a good 3-4 minutes. We are getting a treasury check, though, so I'm going to be quiet for that.
Rate that treasury!
What do you think? What do you think, BK?
Oh, that's a helpful treasury for this party. The full moon is great. Zeus Gauntlets on that edge, or Yang even, depending on how you're going to do your grind. Yang's going to punch pretty hard if you slap those two, the Poison Claws and the Zeus Gauntlets on him. That's a nice treasury for this party, I feel like.
Yeah, I think you really nailed it. I mean, this is perfect for that party. You got the 2 Zeus Gauntlets, you got an upgrade for edge, got a Lilith Rod for, well, that'll be for Dusty potentially, but for Tella. We'll say Tella can get something nice out of the deal. And then just not a lot of whiffs, plenty of good stuff to sell. So Rhybon making that little detour was probably just looking for an edge weapon. A full moon is not exactly what you would want, but I think it definitely works for what Rhybon needs right now. You probably would have liked to seen like a Ninja Sword or a Murasame or something like that, but I'm sure Rhybon is not complaining about the 2 Zeus gauntlets.
Something to note too, Dustygriff just checked the shop in Tamra. There was a full moon and ninja blades in there. Ryban skipped checking that. That could come back later if we do some sort of D-machine or, do the giant. Dusty's like, we need some weapon upgrades. He knows where there is some available. And it looks like he is going back to do some more selling.
Yeah, I think he's trying to get a Ninja Sword right now. Or, okay, well, we'll see what we end up with here. Got the full moon. I actually put full moon on my shopping list for this flag set, so I definitely understand wanting to buy a full moon. So,
back road edge with a full moon in an adamant armor.
Yeah, not bad at all.
And that's really going to upgrade because, Dusty was using that mute dancing dagger combo. That's really going to speed up whomever is here at the bottom of Sealed Cave. Not going to just go down and check the item and, reset out because it is required. So that's really going to speed this up and put Dusty more on par. But, as we pointed out, Dusty is still about 3 minutes behind with that Dwarf Castle check. The longer he puts that off, the more that gap is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't want to count Dusty out, but I think all signs point to Rhybon having just a commanding lead at this point.
Who can be here at the bottom of this sealed cave that would give this edge an issue? I don't think there's anybody.
Well, it's kind of like, what I was talking about a little earlier, like the couple bosses that really can still give you fits if you've got an adamant armor are Kanazo and DKC, and we've already seen both of those, so
right.
I just don't really know what's going to give Rhybon any trouble here. We know that Wyvern is not required, and that's Rhybon's not getting back to that check, so... Also keep in mind, any check that Rhybon does from here on out is going to be required, so Dusty is also going to have to do it.
Absolutely, and we know the sealed cave is. So the question is, does Dusty do Dwarf after this, or is he tempted by the free top of tower?
So we got the package. It's hard to say. I think the bigger concern... I do think Dusty is going to go do Dwarf after this, because your only options are Dwarf and Top of Tower or Moon. I don't think Dusty wants to go up to the Moon with 8 key items. So I do think it makes sense to me, knowing how Dusty plays and just how I would be thinking if I was in his position, to probably go do Dwarf next, even if it's a shorter check.
Yeah, and actually I think Dusty has 9 right now, so it absolutely makes sense. And picking up that full moon in Tamra is just going to make this fight even faster for Dusty. If he just had the Dancing Dagger mute combo, that was really going to slow him down compared to Ryban. So this will help him keep that, keep that, gap as close as it is, but it is definitely going to, be necessary to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Mom Bomb, though. Oof, I do not like Mom Bomb anywhere.
Just still doesn't hold up very long, though, when you've got that adamant armor edge with a decent weapon. So.
Right.
And a Zeus gauntlet now, so yeah.
So Dusty's through. Gonna be raising this Tella back to life to do some warping. And what do we have from this Earth Crystal? Another bunk check.
Yeah, you're stuck on 9 if you're Rhybon. That's kind of annoying. But you're going to go do Sealed Cave and you're going to get that package
10,
for 10. So Rhybon's still going to get there knowing what we know. But yeah, I think Dusty's got to make the right decision here. Otherwise, this race is probably over. I guess I could see Rhybon maybe over grinding or something like that and giving Dusty a chance to catch up, but this is going to be very important right here for Dusty, what his next move is.
Yeah, now, interesting thought that I just had. Dusty has been really pushing his own limits on what he can do in this flag set with, the minimal... Oh, Dusty is heading for that freebie at the top of the tower. But, to finish my thought, what if Ryban does like a small grind of eggs with this 10 key item, or even a small number of D machines? That could definitely be and Dusty doesn't do it. That could be a way to really, close this gap.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Dusty has chosen to do the keyless tower here, which I guess from our perspective, wanting to see this race tighten, we're hoping for a zonk here, and Dusty just resets and goes and does Dwarf Castle next. But yeah, to answer that, there's definitely some scenarios here where they can differ in their grind options or their approach to the final fights of the run that could make a difference here. So it's not like it's over at this point, but Rhybon's just an incredibly solid player. I find it hard to believe that he's going to put himself in a position that feels unsafe. And Dusty's got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, and there's still, what is it? It's 400,000 XP in that giant, 500,000. I can't remember how much the CPU spot gives. That's a lot of XP with 10 key items that you don't have to grind through, especially if you're going to just rely on Edge and Yang.
Yeah, and Rhybon's going to have 10 key items, so that's going to be doubled. But yeah, it's 500k, so it's basically... Or, sorry, the 500k is with the 10 key items. So, yeah, that is most of your grind right there. So, other things we could see, like, maybe if one of the runners does try to use the giant as their grind and, like, Porum dies in one of those high XP fights, that could make a difference. So there's definitely still some stuff that could happen. But yeah, I'm very, very curious what this King Queen Eblin gives and how that is going to impact where Dusty goes next.
Now, it makes me wonder, too. Dusty does Dwarf. Does he take that Porum? I
think so. For buying the Leviathan, I don't think Dusty is too heavily invested in that Rydia, and still hasn't done the grind yet as well. So we'll see, but it'll be key item number 10 also. So I think he'll know that there's plenty of XP still in front of him. That is a Baron key, and that is very, very dangerous for Dusty.
Mm-hmm. And he's walking it out. 10 key items to Dusty. I feel like he's going to be more incentivized to go and do that instead of Dwarf, just because it is 2 checks. So that
and a character.
And a character.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame him for doing that either. So we'll see what happens next year. But at this point, Rhybon just has to do Cave Bahamut and finish the giant. So this is... Rhybon is just zooming towards the finish line at this point.
Yeah, you gotta imagine that Rybon's probably gonna do Cave Value first, before doing the giant, just, so that he only has to come back, up and down. I don't know. What's actually better there?
I don't think there's a wrong answer to that. It looks like Rhybon's going back to get some more sirens, so I do think, based on that, he is probably going to do his grind before the giant, and then do the giant and then Cave Bahamut. It doesn't really matter, I think, at this point.
Dusty's in Toroia. I think he's gonna buy an Asura. Nope, never mind. Gear 3s.
It's going no white mage.
Mm-hmm. Chemist.
So this could actually be the sign that Dusty's going to go do the giant right now too.
Yeah, and the thing about it too is that I don't see Dusty going into that treasury.
No, I don't think he will. So I think that is unlikely. I gotta agree with you there. So yeah, Rhybon doing some eggs here. Gonna get some levels. Gonna go finish a couple more, those last couple objectives. And Dusty is off to the moon.
Yeah, not sure if he's going to go to the moon and check out cave value first, or if he's going to go right to the giant first. But it's definitely looking like Dusty has grind on his mind.
I gotta think he'll check the character first just to see if he can still get a white mage, but hard to say. He's definitely hedging by getting all those Cure 3s, so...
Still looking for more items. We haven't seen silkwebs yet, I don't think.
I don't think so either, yeah.
That is definitely going to really play into some of your decision making too, because I don't think we've even looted one.
It's possible. I don't think silkwebs are super required with a good party and adamant armor and as much XP as I think our Dusty is expecting to get here. But yeah, it's always nice to have a silkweb for sure. Dusty is going to the giant. I suspect we will see a quick D-machine grind here, and then objective number 2 from Dusty, and then we'll see what happens after that. So this could be an interesting moment to find like a free boss or something at one of those 2 spots also. Because if Rhybon is doing a bunch of his grind beforehand and Dusty can shortcut that by getting the XP from a free fight, that is a pretty good way for Dusty to sort of make up some ground here.
If there's a DMs or even an officer-soldier fight here, that would be really big for Dusty.
I want to say we know the officer-soldier fight is the first fight at Baron Castle, but yeah, the Dark Imps are still out there. Trying to think if there's anything else that could be free-ish, but yeah, I think the Dark Imps is probably the big one.
Well, that means that you paid attention when the sea started. I saw the characters, you saw the boss. Oh.
I've had to force that over time. This is also pretty free. This is Bahamut.
Yep, gonna get the Star Veils up, try to do as much damage as possible. Oh wow, this Bahamut is real fast though.
It's going to be a bit of a slog, but this is also the kind of fight that it's not going to go that much faster for Rhybon based on the grind. So I still think this is the kind of boss that Dusty needs to be up here in order to sort of make up some ground. Looks like Rhybon is done with the grind. We'll see what he opts for next.
Yeah, Dusty's looking for ways to get that Rydia a little bit more oomph. Throwing the Elven Bow on. Yeah, chat pointing out that Dusty's got that Baron key sitting at the top of the inventory. I would be leaning along with them that Dusty's probably going to be thinking Baron after doing cave value.
Yeah, I think logically you have to kind of commit to that play. Plus, it's just a little bit better in terms of, 2 key item checks versus 1 and the character at Dwarf Castle. You're going to have the levels here to be able to clear that Odin spot also. So yeah, I agree. I think we're probably going to see the Baron key after this. Although I suspect Dusty will do that Cave Bahamut also first. So
Agreed. Gets the wall up on Yang so he can get the XP. Ooh, Rydia did not get hers back up in time. still a lot of HP though to go here. This edge is only doing about 2k a swing.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit careful with these Star Veils too, not to you can't use them all up necessarily also. So Dusty is managing this fight well, but it is extremely long.
Yeah, and like you said, it's not going to be any faster for Ryban because Ryban can't just berserk and go. Has to be able to manage those Star Veils as well. But Dusty's through.
Yep, gets a cool 200k XP, which is a nice little gap there. Hasn't had to do any actual grind yet, whereas I think Rhybon did about 10 eggs probably, so...
Oh. That's not terrible. I mean, while Mindy or Cindy's gonna punch hard.
Yeah, this is extremely free with those mute knives. This spot has almost no magic power, so this is basically a free fight. But we see Rhybon does want to get this XP on his Porum, you can tell though.
Yeah, definitely making sure to protect her. She is really low still, only 1500 HP. I like to have Porum of about 1600 depending on gear. So definitely wanting to protect her as much as possible. Oh, hello.
Oh no, this is fun.
Yeah, and again, this is another fight that I don't think is any faster for Ryban.
The thing about this that's a little bit annoying for Dusty though is this fight is almost impossible to get the XP that you need on the characters that you want. So it's actually gonna be free here. If not this first, it's free with the Adamant, but because Golbez will deal enough damage to himself to basically finish himself off. But you're not gonna get the full XP, and you're also not gonna get the XP on all your party members, which is unfortunate for Dusty because really that is the way that he kind of closes the gap. Is he would need to figure out a way to not have to grind where Rhybon did those eggs that we saw earlier. So.
Yeah, and this magic power is gonna be high. Oh, using the 2 Star Veils on Yang and Rydia.
Yeah, this spot has magic power for days, so not but you can tell Dusty wants to get that XP on his Rydia. He is not even trying to fight right now. He is just waiting until Golbez does enough damage, then he'll quick finish the fight before Rydia goes down the rest of the way. So this is really well done. Dusty doing about as well as he could do with this fight under the circumstances to sort of meet the objectives for what he needs to get out of it.
Yeah, and unfortunately not getting the full experience load because it's Golbez and the Shadow Dragon, but still, that was 400k.
Yeah, that's plenty for Dusty to not really have to, I think, worry too much about a grind at this point. Still no white mage, but yeah, he's pretty much committed to this party now. So we'll see what he does next. I have to think he's going to do Cave Bahamut before he does anything else, but I don't think this is over by any stretch of the imagination at this point.
Yeah, no, and there's a lot of things, if Ryban can't handle, if Ryban has struggles with these fights, it's not that he can't handle them. If he does struggle in any aspect of these 2 fights, that's just more time to give back to Dusty, which you never want to do. It's really going to come down to when does Dusty do Dwarf, and he is back on the overworld. He's not doing cave value yet.
So if he's save scumming there, he is definitely doing Dwarf next.
Yep, you are right. And that is exactly where he went.
All right, so this is interesting. So Dusty is going to have to do this, Zot, and Cave Bahamut before Rhybon finishes the Giant, which Definitely
no.
stole. Oh no! What
He
happened?
was checking the shop.
Well, that hurts because we knew that was the place that Dusty needed to be. I think at this point, yeah, he needed some more Star Veils. Exactly. Yeah, that was and I think somebody in chat remembered they were in Mysidia, so should have just asked us, Dusty. We knew where they were.
We could have told you. Some of us would have remembered. Not me. I saw him. I couldn't remember what town he saw him in, but I saw him.
All right, so now we're gonna get that Cave Bahamut check from Dusty, which makes sense. You know, do your objectives. Don't do anything that you don't have to do. But yeah, that was a little unfortunate detour to have to see up here.
That to me also that tells me that while he's doing his objectives, he's not going back to Dwarf.
I still trust Dusty to full clear the Earth before he goes and does the full moon, but I don't know how you brain out to do Dwarf before you do Baron.
Ryban is through the Bahamut, though. It's going to be greeted with the laughter in the CPU room.
Let's also just keep in mind, I just want to point out for chat, because we're sort of like we're not even critiquing, but we're just like kind of feeling bad for Dusty's like routing decisions here. Rhybon routed this seed perfectly.
Exactly.
Like, he could not have done any less of this seed unless he somehow shortcutted some of the non-required overworld checks before he went up to before he did the hook route. Once Rhybon was underground, everything he did was required.
Yeah, and you know, if you didn't know Rhybon, you would think maybe he was cheating. No, I've seen Ryban play. He is that good, and the routing decisions he made were spot on, and they're routing decisions that he has made in numbers of other races. So kudos to him for sticking to his game plan and just basically matrixing this seed.
Yeah, I think Rhybon was doing his freebies, and he was looking for a white mage because that is the party that he wants to put together, and it just happened that was exactly what was needed in order to get go mode.
Yep, so does have the Star Veils up on Porum. I think that's probably the person that Ryban did want the most, is doing the exact same strategy that Dusty did, letting Golbez just spell himself down, and then just gonna do one hit.
Yeah, unlike Dusty, Rhybon doesn't really need the XP here, other than probably on Porum. I think you want to get as much XP on Porum as you can possibly get, but this is very safe for Rhybon at this point.
Yeah, so the Porum has white. She's got over 1600 HP. She's gonna be sitting pretty good for this Zeromus fight. It would have to take probably some ridiculous big bang rolls, I feel like, to knock Ryban out of this. Dusty, though, is doing using his sirens on these gold dragons over in Cave Value. I don't know how many hourglasses Dusty have. I saw at least one on the first fight. I don't know if he had one for the second.
Yeah, I definitely only saw the one as well. But yeah, Dusty just kind of rounding out that XP here. Rhybon is swag wailing over to walk to Z, and that means that we are going to have a question to ask here momentarily.
Is it bedtime? Because, I mean, with the way
No.
Harumph rolled the seed, it could be bedtime.
There's no way it's bedtime. It is too early for bedtime. Harumph obviously has somewhere to be after this before bedtime. But no, we got some Z flags in the chat. Some question marks. It sounds like maybe there is a question that chat wants us to ask. BK.
Is the butt wearing a hat? Is the butt cute?
You're getting to the secondary questions. We have a primary question, and then there's like follow-up questions.
Oh, got it. Is the butt asleep because we were sitting too long? Or whose butt is asleep?
I don't think the butt's asleep. It hasn't been that long. The seed's been too fast for the butt to have fallen asleep.
Now, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? And we do have the young in the party to kick it.
Yeah, if we so choose, we can actually kick the butt.
I'm gonna have to do that next time in a race.
Go very, very literal.
Yeah, literally just kick the butt.
Well, I think with this party, Rhybon is not going to be in too much trouble if he wants to go ahead and actually kick the butt. Let's see what we got here.
That's a cute butt. So nice and small and shy.
It's a sparkly butt.
It is sparkly.
Scala, our resident butt designer, saying that this is a Sonic sprite. Makes sense. I was getting big Carbuncle vibes from it originally, but yeah, this is definitely looking like a Sonic character.
The butt artist. Oh, that's awesome.
From Sonic Adventure.
Oh wow, that Big Bang came out really quickly. I mean, still nerfed, don't get me wrong, but wow.
So this is what happens when Tella has that many levels on him, in my experience. And it's still going to be okay, but this is going to be a very fast Z, and it's going to potentially... Rhybon's going to have to play this a little tight, because it's going to be a lot of big bangs.
Yeah, and that's going to really come down to what we were talking about, because I don't know if Ryban threw the curse string onto that Tella. I assume he did.
It doesn't matter. When your Tella has around 1,000 XP, even if you throw the curse string on him, it does. It's not the same as having a low level Tella.
And this Edge with that Adamant armor, he's got so much agility.
Yeah. The problem here is Edge is too fast. No.
Oh. Remember how we were talking about random high roll big bangs?
Yeah, there goes Porum. Porum not as durable as our other white mage option typically. And yeah, Rhybon with a reset. So that's another way that Dusty can get back into this race that I don't think we were really considering too much. But yeah, a Rude Z could definitely do that too. I've had this situation come up before, and I will admit I have gone looking for a 28 agility replacement anchor, especially if you have something like the Ninja Hat that I think both of our runners have.
We also do have a base level Rydia waiting in Mysidia. That was the giant character.
Yeah, I don't think this is time to hit the panic button yet for Rhybon. You don't like to wipe to Z, but when you're racing against somebody like Dusty, you gotta feel like that could come back to bite you. So we'll see if this one looks a little bit different. Otherwise, if he has to reset again, might opt for some sort of change. We'll see. We still got to see what Dusty does next. Looks like Dusty is doing the tower key first. Can't blame him. This is probably the fastest single check out of his available options, and he doesn't really need a character anymore, so we'll see what he does after that, but we know this isn't going to really give him what he wants.
Yeah, you gotta imagine the thought going through your head if you're racing this. You're looking at this. It's an hour and 15, and you're one item away from go mode. And yeah, most of these seasons have been going hour 30, hour 45, even has been the average. And so, is part of Dusty's thinking, I'm doing really good on this, and just wanting to get these fast checks to try and mark it off, but it's definitely just unlucky, in the sense.
Yeah, it's hard to say what Dusty's maybe feeling right now. I think whenever you're one key item away from go mode, you're a little bit nervous. I think he probably, we'll see, we'll ask him in the interview. I'm curious what he thinks about like his shopping patterns and stuff like that. Things like looting, because it did seem like he had to double back to quite a few shops over the course of the seed.
Yeah, there were a couple of shops that he did revisit, Acidia being one of them for the Star Veils. So I wonder if maybe he was feeling, that he was going to be missing something.
Yeah, and we'll ask him in the interview, and again, this is just coming down to Rhybon routing the seed perfectly, and I gotta assume Dusty's gonna stay on the Earth here. We'll probably find that Earth Crystal sooner rather than later, but you just could not have routed the seed any more perfectly than Rhybon did. So
Absolutely.
I haven't really keeping an eye here on fight number 2. It looks like Rhybon still has the pedal to the metal. I just saw Porum queue up a white, so.
Yeah, feeling confident here. Yang doing the reflecting. Dusty's gonna go for the Wyvern.
I definitely get the play. You're trying to think about what your opponent might have faded and wanna beat him to the punch. So this makes sense to me. We know it's not the right decision, but Dusty getting Rydia all ready to go full Dragon Killer mode here.
Yeah, is this gonna be reflecting summons in Mega Nukes, or is this gonna be Rydia Warrior Princess?
I want to see Rydia hit things.
I do too. Ryban, though, getting the Big Bangs nerfed, has the party up and well topped off.
Just in time, I might add.
Yeah. Oh! Will he keep going? I don't know if he's been counting. I know I haven't been.
It's pretty. I think this is pretty close to rocks, and the black hole just came out, so he should be able to recover this.
Yeah, Yang still has a bunch of health. There's the rocks. Chaka Gungnir. Oh, do you heal or do you go do damage? And hope Edge dodges. Oh no.
Wow.
Whoa! Keep throwing him, Edge. Another
dodge twice.
Oh, he's got to dodge one more, I think. Oh no.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, Z to Rhybon 0. That was pretty much one swing away from victory, I think, for Rhybon.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. One more dart.
That was dramatic. Okay, now I think Rhybon might be a little bit panicked.
And Dusty flew by Dwarf, though, again. Oh, Dusty's playing Dude, Where's My Whale?
I think kind of what I saw somebody say in chat earlier. If you're Dusty, you feel like if it was a dwarf, you would have lost by now. I don't know I don't know about Baron. I don't know if I would feel the same way about Baron, but this is understandable. And you're playing to win, right? So if you think Rhybon's staying on the Earth doing some clears, you at a certain point you just got to get up to the moon because you're only looking for one key item, and it's not as good of a chance, but there's certainly a reasonable enough chance that it could just be up here instead.
And he's got adamant armor edge, double ninja blades as well. Doesn't have the Zeus gauntlets from the treasury, but this edge is going to carve this moon up. And we know that what's the worst thing that's up here? Ogopogo and the alt gauntlet?
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Could have an antlion on the moon.
No, we saw antlion in the super cannon room.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think I was watching Rhybon Z fight when that fight happened.
Yeah, I don't know what the key item was from that, but I did see the boss fight. Crystal Ring. Thank you, J-Mac. And as we've been pointing out, Harumph doing the restreaming duties for tonight. J-Mac, the librarian, doing a fantastic job tracking. Do want to shout out my co-commentator Moonblaze Wolf in our runners, Ryban and Dustygriff. If you haven't given the runners and the crew a follow, please do so. Our runners have put on a really good race.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun to watch, and been very entertaining for, I think, maybe some reasons that we wouldn't necessarily have expected going into it. So we're going to get to see Dusty do a little bit more of the moon. We'll see how this fight, how Rhybon handles this fight. There's the alt gauntlet, so that's one awful box checked, and Dusty resets out of that.
Not a terrible spot, but definitely a spot that you're like, yeah, no, if it's there, I'm gonna lose it.
You're willing to leave that one for a bit.
Yeah. So Porum has the wall up. Probably gonna try and get some more damage out with some lights. Oh, here comes the shake. Question is, was that the refill shake or is that an incoming Big Bang shake? Refill shake. Is that a new flavor? A refill shake?
Does that come after Shamrock Shake season? Because then that would be like right now. We could go get Harumph is going to take us all out for refill shakes after the race tonight.
Nice frosty refill shakes. Alright, let's see what Ryban's got here. Going for the nerf. Trying to make sure that his party has as much HP as possible after this Big Bang. Porum having the wall. Not going to be able to heal herself back up to full.
Yeah, this is just really, really nervy, but Rhybon is making his way through. This is something that I've been just kind of curious for, like, top runners to see. It's a part of the game that I think we still maybe take for granted a little bit is you can make it the Zeromus fight very easy in a variety of ways, and there's also very difficult situations that are still doable if you're an extremely skilled runner like Rhybon here. So this was a little bit more of a skillful Z fight. We do have rocks now, so gotta think with 3 characters up, this is just about over now.
Yeah, and no, this is a fight too that the 4-man party has really, and there's the boom, and Ryban is through with an official time 1 hour 26 minutes and 2 seconds. Get your GGs in chat for Ryban. We'll see about getting Ryban in here for an interview.
Yeah, absolutely, and we will see as well what Dusty decides to do now with that information that Rhybon is finished. But I do believe we are joined in the commentary booth by Rhybon now. GG's.
Hi, that was a great example of how not to fight Z.
Yeah, so what do you think? I'm gonna let you sort of assess what happened there, because I'm sure you had to kind of do some troubleshooting. So like, kind of walk us through the first attempt and then how you tried to iterate on those subsequent attempts.
The first attempt ultimately came down to accidentally punching with Yang rather than, pressing up once more to use the Bacchus wine instead. And the lack of damage from the additional Bacchus hits prevented me from skipping the refill, or getting to the refill and skipping the second Big Bang. So I kind of was just hoping that Porum would be able to take an unnerfed Big Bang. Just didn't happen, unfortunately. Second time around, did get the Bacchus off on time. But again, Porum not surviving an unnerfed Big Bang. I'm sitting here thinking Yang's got 4,500 HP. Edge has an Adamant armor. Porum is Porum, but at least she has white and 1,800 HP. She's got a Silence Staff and a Rhybon on. She has a magic defense. She should be able to survive an unnerfed Big Bang, especially a low roll one, I believe. But nope, wasn't happening. And then I'm not sure how close I was to killing Z on that second attempt when I threw at least 8,000 damage at it. But yeah, it didn't work out, unfortunately. And by that point, I felt like a pit in my stomach. Like, there's no way I can make these mistakes and come out ahead. But third chance, third time with the charm, I guess.
So let's talk about that thought, because you God routed this seed. Every single check you did was required, minus Antlion and Ordeals, but really still Ordeals was to have that tele be useful. How are you feeling getting underground, doing the Fey March, and doing Dwarf Castle, and then finishing the Pan and Rat Tail checks?
I think back to when I was turning in the Rat Tail, and I'm like, looking at my objective, I'm like, what do I still need for go mode? I need a Luca key and maybe a couple other things. Luca key popped up from the Rat Tail turn. So I'm like, okay, well, I think I'm off to Zot at that point, because it's generally in the same area. I'm like, okay, what else do I need? Oh crap, I'm in go mode. That means Dusty's probably in go mode, because this was what I at least thought it was a relatively linear seed, to be honest. Check your freebies and all that. That was a relatively free, Baron guards sitting at Fey March with coffins for sale right there in the Fey March. So yeah, I guess I did end up god routing it, but I figured that Dusty would do the same thing. It would be right on my heel, if not ahead of me.
Yeah, so Dusty did the Pan and Rat Tail turn in first, and then did Sealed Cave and did do the Keyless Tower, which gave him this 10 key items. So he went on and did Giant, and he just committed to the Dwarf Castle Fade.
Oh, I see.
What was, I just want to hear from you, because I suspect I know the answer, but I want to hear what your reasoning was for doing that Dwarf Castle check when you did, because it turned out to be just the perfect play, and I know you don't like that check all that much.
I just didn't really like my party too much. Rydia is great and all. I don't know if I had found a Nasura for her yet, but at this point, I have the perfect Zerker party. I've got a Yang, I've got an Edge. They're both fantastic Zerkers. Top two melees, in my opinion, on this particular flag set. Tela there for a D-Machine grind if I need it. If not, she's a fantastic utility mage. I want a white mage. I'm far more comfortable with that particular party, so I'm prioritizing character checks. And lo and behold, they were the Borum, I believe.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was the case. I know that you have a preference for the Zerkers, and we were commenting really early on in the seed that Rydia is nice and all, and I think Dusty may have been tempted a little bit by the availability of that Leviathan in Eblin, but just kind of knowing you and knowing your preferences, I was like, Rhybon is thinking to himself, if I could just get a white mage, this is my perfect party, and sure enough.
And that was the next check.
Yep, she's not the white mage I want, but she's the white mage I deserve in this particular flag set, I guess. She was fine, and especially with that adamant armor on edge, it seemed like a relatively quick check. It was, and I really like Dwarf Castle just because it's a good 45k XP. It's a good infusion of XP early game. Granted, I probably didn't need it too much with adamant edge, but Yang still benefited from it.
Yeah, so you're 1-0 in these semifinals. How are you feeling about your chances of going 2-0 against Dustygriff?
My chat. If you asked me earlier what my chances of going 1-0 against Dusty, I would say 0. So I'm going to say the same thing about 2-0. Dusty is pretty much a legend in Free Enterprise. I mean, I've been playing Free Enterprise for just shy of a year now, and I remember watching Lollyho League and ZZ3 and watching Dusty. I'm like, I hope I never run into that guy in the tournament because he is clearly very, very good. The only 2-time champion that I believe for Free Enterprise. So, and in this case, the Pancras player too. He did something that I clearly could never ever do. So, I'm not feeling ultimately too confident because I can't depend on God Rowdy in the future to beat Dusty. And I definitely can't play like I did at the end of that seed with those Z fights and expect to beat Dusty in a foot race. So, hoping for the best, but expecting the worst.
Well, I think you're going to look back on this seed and just see a lot of stuff that it really instills a lot of confidence in you moving forward. You got through the hook route about 3 minutes ahead of Dusty, and that was pretty much all exactly the same routing. I think really the only difference we noticed was you got Tello before popping into Cave Eblin to do the looting and find the character there. So that probably cost him a little bit of time, just not being able to exit out. But really, aside from that, you were just more efficient, and you were kind of leading the pacing of the seed the whole way. So I definitely get what you're saying about going toe to toe with a legend and coming out on top. But it wasn't just the lucky God routing that got you there. You played that seed incredibly well.
Thanks. I don't think I made too many mistakes, at least prior to the Z fight. I was maybe thinking I did a few too many sirens, a few too many eggs, so I cut it off a little early. And thinking back to it, maybe if I did that last siren, I would have had a little more HP or a little more damage, and I wouldn't have had it wiped that second time around. But never actually know.
Well, it's good to definitely think on some of that stuff and see changes or different things that you might do next time, because there's definitely so many decisions you just make over the course of the seed. But GG's again, and BK, did you have any last questions for Rhybon while we finish up while Dusty finishes the seed here?
Not at all. Ryban, GG's well done on your race tonight, and I look forward to seeing you even further, and good luck in your next match. When is your next match with Dusty?
I believe we are scheduled for 8 p.m. on Friday evening. So, that'll be game 2.
Well, we'll be keeping an eye out for you for sure. Thank you again, Ryban, for putting on an excellent race for us tonight.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks, Blade. Thanks, BK, for all the commentary, how rough rolling this fantastic Harp required seed, and JMac for pushing all the buttons. Hopefully I gave you enough to push. But y'all have a good night, and hope to see you next time.
Nice. Take care. Dusty finding a Porum, but it's not the Porum. I just glanced back up after watching Ryba pop out of the Discord chat here, and in walks Porum just to kind of troll Dusty a little bit. So what are you gonna do? Some night, BK, we haven't really talked about this aspect of it too much. I'm just gonna say it from a runner's perspective. Some nights it's just not your night, and I think Dusty's gonna look back on this and just be like, I couldn't have done anything. Dusty's going to look back on this and he's probably going to say to himself, I couldn't have routed that any worse if I tried, and Rhybon couldn't have routed that any better if he tried. So maybe we just go kind of back to the drawing board for game 2.
No, absolutely. And I think this is going to be a situation for Dusty where he's going to look at this and just be like, he played his game, and Dusty's always been known for that. He played this like he's always played these seeds. He makes a decision and he'll stick with it. He made the decision to fade Dwarf and he stuck with it, and that's it just so happened that was the one check he needed to make. But he'll look at that and he'll probably maybe make some adjustments, but probably not.
Yeah, I think that you're right, and I think Dusty is definitely the kind of runner who doesn't get too kind of lost in his own head. He's pretty confident about playing the way he wants to play. I've been watching Dusty play more or less the exact same way for about 3 years now, and it's turned out pretty well for him for the most part. So I'm not too worried about Dusty's ability to maybe bounce back for games 2 and 3.
Yeah, and as Ryban even said, if that Earth Crystal is not at Dwarf, this is an entirely different race.
Yeah, I mean, I really would love a version of this seed where that Earth Crystal is hiding somewhere on the moon, and it's just a race to see who gets there first, or put it at that Wyvern at the Asura spot. That's just nobody wants to do that. So
yeah, and to really highlight Dusty ability to just clear the seed in the second match I had with Dusty, I lost by 2 minutes. The number of checks that Dusty did compared to the number I did was he full cleared the moon. I didn't even touch the moon, and he still won by 2 minutes.
Yeah, some runners are just efficient and just skilled enough to do that. I definitely remember thinking to myself last week when I was playing against Rhybon, I was like, if I 28 out of 28 out of seed, I am going to lose every single time. So I got to figure out a way to cut something out, or get lucky, or go somewhere where Ryban might not go till later, because that's the only way you're going to beat a good runner when they're on their game like these two are.
And we've got Monk staring at Monk right now.
No you, no you, no you.
And in Dusty's front, didn't I just say no to a forum at the last character check? J-Mac, I missed it too. Chat, any help here on what the...
I think the only thing we haven't seen is Sand Ruby.
Yeah, I know I saw in the spoiler log Adamant was somewhere up on the moon, and so was the spoon.
Yeah, we saw the spoon. After this, the only check Dusty's not going to have done is going to be that alt gauntlet that we saw at the Murasame spot. So Dusty won't do that one, but he is going to have done everything else. I guess it could have been the Magma Key as well, now that I'm thinking about it.
The Magma Key was at the Ribbon Room.
Okay, never mind then.
That one I did
see. Dusty has the news that is where the Earth Crystal was. I think he probably knew it already, and off he goes to Zot now.
It was Dwarf all along.
Luca, how could you do this to me? I thought we were pals.
Just had that crystal just hanging around her neck,
Luca is not getting a refill shake after this race.
No, not at all. And looks like Dusty though is going for a drink of his own.
Nice. Yeah, we got a refill on Bacchus wines. We used up too many joyriding around in the big whale.
He only bought 5 earlier, so it's a testament again to his skill that he only bought 5 Bacchus wines. And
I think he's been leaning on Nuke for a little while here, but you want to finish the seed strong, so let's go get some more wine so we can just kind of punch our way through.
I mean, Bacchus wine does make you strong. All right, so Dusty's gonna head up, clear Tower Zot, and is not gonna grab a Black Chocobo to Swagabo over to Toroia and turn in the pass. That would be great, though.
Trying to remember who was up here.
Oh.
It feels so long ago.
Mom Bomb was the second fight.
Yeah, that's right.
It was the first fight.
Was it Octomom? No, I just saw that on the moon.
Right. I don't remember who the first fight was. Tracker coming in clutch. The Mylon and Friends.
Thanks, J-Mac. That's right.
While Dusty is heading up, and this is, one thing to point out, this is the semifinals of the Adamant Cup. So if you haven't done so, please check out the Free Enterprise Discord. If you've been watching this race and you feel like that, you'd be really interested in maybe learning the game and maybe running some races. Once the Adamant Cup has concluded after next week, our community races and our community clubs will be starting back up. So Discord is definitely the place to find the information for all of those things if you have any interest in joining the community in some capacity.
Exactly, yeah. We're going to have some fun clubs. We're going to have community races coming back. We're also going to have the ladder Season 7. We're getting into Game of Thrones territory over there at the FF4FE Enterprise ladder. But Season 7 is going to be starting on Friday, and I believe we just announced the flag sets for that this evening, so you can go check that information out over on the ladder website or the Discord, or I believe that information will also be posted on the main FE Discord as well.
I mean, I do have a pending unread message from that Discord, so that is probably correct that there's a message waiting for me with the new ladder flag sets. Data Cham in chat, what is the Pink Puff? The Pink Puff League is the new Runners League. So if you are new and interested in racing and Free Enterprise, then you can join in and be racing against other newer runners. You're not going to be running into Ryban or Dustygriff in the Pink Puff League. It'll be other people who are just learning the game and trying to, learn together through a racing experience. So if you are interested in, learning about the game in a little bit more in depth, that's a great way to do it. And yeah, as Chad is pointing out, Ryban was one of the first Pink Puffs, I believe.
That is true. And also, while we're waiting for Dusty to finish up his final check here, Scala mentioned something in the chat which is new for the ladder in Season 7. So I'm going to talk about that for a second. Thanks to our wonderful Scala Kitty and the also wonderful Xenocat, we are going to have 2 end-of-season participation rewards in the ladder for Season 7. We're going to have a Z-Sprite raffle and a song raffle for ladder participation. And the only requirement in order to enter that raffle is you have to race in at least 20 ladder races during Season 7. I know that probably sounds like a lot. Hearing that, me just sort of say those words out of my mouth makes me feel like that is a lot. But really, that equates to about 2 races a week. And races on the ladder are available basically 24/7. So if you want to pick a song for the song pool or pick a sprite for the sprite pool, you can get a chance at that by participating in the ladder. And we do have a variety of flag sets for all skill levels.
Yeah, the ladder is a really great time. It's a really great way to race and hone your skills with a number of different flag sets to participate in. It is a lot of fun.
And Dusty is off to Z, so we are going to see if Dusty struggles at all. We saw Rhybon struggle a little bit, and Rhybon had a white mage. Dusty does not have a white mage. Dusty has a Rydia with an Asura summon, I believe.
And probably is still a 10 stack of those Cure 3s.
Yeah, for as much wine as Rhybon had, Dusty had a baker's dozen of Cure 3s, I want to say, at one point as well. So another interesting, we'll call it a divergence there.
We'll see how Dusty wants to tackle this. Does have the wine. Does not have the Zeus gauntlets that Ryban found in the treasury, though.
We'll see what Dusty decides to do here. It would not shock me just to see Yang be on backup curing duty, just in case Rydia decides to get a little bit unlucky with those Asuras.
And the butt is still, nice and petite and cute. Rydia going with Nuke Cast, it looks like. That is one other. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that butt is very cute, but it's also a little bit sinister.
Mm-hmm. I was going to point out another difference that Ryban and Dusty have. Edge is rocking 2 Ninja Blades, whereas Ryban was rocking 2 Mute Knives.
Yeah, that will definitely help push some damage. I was thinking about that as well. I think it will probably give Dusty the flexibility to just punch with that Yang and heal a little bit if need be. And also Rydia can just reflect nukes. That also works fine.
More reflected nukes coming out, and the first big bang, and Tella survived it. Shockingly. Who said that Tella couldn't be a chemist?
Tella's like, it's not my turn yet. I don't want to go to sleep.
I won't go that easily. Edge is dishing out about 4K a hit with those Ninja Blades, and that's really gonna speed this fight up. Oh, there goes Tella.
You did good, Tella.
He did what he set out to do. Damage still coming out. This is a good amount of damage, though. I feel like for Dusty with this party, between the 2 berserkers doing about 7K each, the nukes as well adding to it. Unless this is like a big bang and a medio wombo combo.
Yeah, this is pretty much free as long as you keep Yang's hit points up high enough. And right now they're both looking fine, so I wouldn't be too concerned for Dusty here. And yeah, just gonna top the Yang off here just to make sure. Oh, maybe not quite enough time for that, but also at the point in the fight where it's gonna be a black hole that follows the Big Bang, so there's not a lot of I shouldn't say. I'm gonna be quiet for a second. I don't want to jinx things.
Ooh, that Meteor, though, hitting that edge for 1,000 damage. But it didn't matter. Get your GG's in chat for Dustygriff of 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 45 seconds. And we'll be seeing if Dusty will be joining us for an interview.
Yeah, very nicely done for a 27 out of 28. And sounds like we've got Dusty in the booth here with us. GG's, Dusty.
How you feeling after that one, Dusty?
Dusty, I don't want to break. I hate to break it to you. You didn't have to do that much of the scene.
Oh man, I wish I knew that before. Yeah, that was rough. I mean, all things told, 27 out of 28 or whatever it was, in an hour 49 on brackets, I'm pretty happy with, really. So I can't complain that much about length, but considering how little I had to do, yeah, that hurt.
Yeah, Rhybon actually had a little trouble with the Z fight too. I don't know if y'all talked about that at all in the race room at all afterwards, but I mean, realistically, he could have probably been done with this seed in about an hour 15. It was
Right.
just perfect routing on his part, and in a
Right.
way, it probably didn't help your understanding of where the end of the seed was that he did take those couple of wipes, because I think if he finishes at an hour 15, you've got to think that that Earth Crystal is still on the Earth somewhere.
Right.
Way.
Yeah. Exactly. Like that's so true, because it was hour 27 finish, I think, just around there, hour 26, and it's like I was basically there like shrugging, like it could be literally anywhere, out of all these spots, because so much was open too, and yeah, that was a pretty interesting is one word, frustrating maybe is another. Frustrating seed to route, because it was just so much open, and I don't know, whichever way that you tried to cut it, it was just kind of weird to route, and I did some weird routing in there just to kind of match what I was thinking, I guess, but yeah, it did not work out this time around.
I mean, I think the big thing that we noticed, it seemed like you valued Rydia, or like you were perfectly comfortable keeping Rydia in your party, and
Right.
Rhybon wanted a white mage because I think he will, confess, and I certainly know from talking to him and playing against him, like he loves his Zerker party, and
Right.
that you had a pretty much a perfect Zerker party 8 minutes into that siege, short of white mage, and I think that just kind of drove him to Dwarf Castle, and the rest is history. But you
That's
were very
pretty fair.
comfortable with that Rydia.
Exactly, yeah, and I could see that. I honestly did see the allure of Dwarf Castle fairly early there. It's just the way that I ended up routing the underground made me not want to do it at all. Other than the one moment where I could have was when I did top of tower instead, to get 10 key items. So I was like really between that and Dwarf Castle there, but since it was King Queen at top of towers, like I'll just do that. It'll be fast enough, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's funny because that little difference could have made me at least be out of this probably 20 minutes sooner. I don't know if I win if I do that, but I'm certainly a little closer than 25 minutes past or whatever.
Yeah, we saw the Baron key come out of that top of tower, and we were like, "Oh, that is probably one of the worst things that could have
Yeah.
came out of that." If it's
Yeah.
if it's like a terminal key item, maybe even though it was your 10th, we're not sure that you may have walked that out. And if it was a bomb check, like Harumph was just hiding all the key items everywhere.
Yeah, it was rough because it's like that's all I wanted. I wanted to get out there, get up to Giant, and see if I had to D machine, which I didn't have to this time, which I was happy about. But but yeah, so it's just kind of really strange, funny seed to route, and like you said, it was so fast if you hit the right path on it.
Yeah, I don't, sometimes it's just not your day. And I think you're going to look back on this and you'll probably see plenty of stuff that regardless of win or loss, you would have been like, I could have done that a little bit better. I did that really well. So I'm sure you'll definitely have a lot to think about before game 2. But are you feeling pretty good still about forcing to game 3 and maybe moving on to the finals after this one?
Oh yeah. I I have no doubt that Rhybon played this extremely well, and you can route perfectly in an hour 27 is still a really great time, regardless of how great your route is. So I assume his execution was also really good. So I'm definitely looking forward to the next matches. I know how well he's been playing, so it's no surprise to me for me to lose tonight. But yeah, it's kind of it's one of those things too of like, yeah, I definitely could have played better in spots here, but also, yeah, I think I really felt the routing got me pretty bad tonight. So it's one of those things, and you can only you're gonna get on the lucky side of that coin sometimes, and you're gonna get on the unlucky side of that coin sometimes. And also my execution was great tonight. I would say other matches I felt like I played pretty well. This match I felt I played kind of mediocre. So and that's the other part of it too. So maybe if I felt like I was playing better, I would have felt more confident to do things like clear the full Underworld in one fell swoop and just went to Dwarf at the same time of clearing all Fame Arch and stuff. Because like one thing I could have done is done Wyvern really early. I just didn't do that, and that like kind of changed the way that I routed things. And yeah, lots of things that I just could have done better that would have probably actually made my route end up being more correct this time too. So it's not all rando. It's definitely things for execution. But I'm still feeling pretty good. I think I've been playing okay overall. But this one was probably one of my not great showings. But
Well, I know last round you went down to 1-0 to some guy named Max Pancraz, and that turned out okay for you. So we still believe that you got this, Dusty, if things break your way. So GG's again. Any final thoughts, BK or Dusty? Anything else you wanted to add?
Nah, GG's, and talking about your previous rounds, your round of 32 opponent didn't even put up a fight against you. So
hey,
he didn't even want to talk during the interview. He was just kind of sitting there and like, no, just kidding, BK.
No, we brought it up in the intro, Dusty. You watch this back, because you beat me in the round of 32, and Ryban beat Moonblaze last week. It's like somebody set this up.
Ooh, dang. Yeah, it's just like the bad blood match. Nah, it was a good race. It was really interesting. GG's, like I said, GG's to Rhybon. He's been playing incredibly this tournament, and I'm excited. I'm hoping I push it to 3 games because I've had such good luck in terms of my series. Like I think the races I've been playing in so far have been like super fun to play in, super fun to watch. So I hope we push it to 3 just for the spectacle. And if I lose, I lose. That's fine too. But yeah, GG's to Rhybon on this. Thank you both for commentating. Haram for restreaming, JMac for tracking. Appreciate it all, and yeah, looking forward to that next game on Friday, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. And I know we're looking forward as well. Anybody out here watching tonight who wants to catch more free enterprise, currently scheduled races, everything is at 8 p.m. Eastern. Every night of the week has a race. So tomorrow you can tune in for game 1 of Possum Orpheus versus Simbu and the other semifinal, and that is going to be over on RPG Limit Break. So just set an alarm for every night this week, 8 p.m. Eastern, and you'll be able to find some free enterprise to watch. Some great free enterprise to watch, I might add. So.
Yeah, and also make sure if you haven't done so, please join into the Discord, because you can see who all is already streaming free enterprise. If you want to hop into somebody, root somebody on if they're doing a ladder race or any of the other races we've got going on. So a lot of free enterprise for you to catch in and get to know members of the community as well. And in fact, we're not done with free enterprise tonight, are we, Moonblaze Wolf?
No, we are going to be raiding on over to Dr. Cossack, who is a fellow member of my group for this event, Team Ninja Shirt. And Dr. C is running a ladder mystery seed, so we're going to be heading on over there. Please, no spoilers from tonight's race, or you will get the newspaper. And also just be aware, Dr. Cossack is running a ladder race, so that means no helping in any way also. But we'll go on over there, watch Dr. Cossack play some more free enterprise, maybe try to figure out what the flags are since it is a mystery seed, and then we will be back with more Adamant Cup action for you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yep, we'll see you all over at Dr. Cossack's stream, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night.